3, 2, 1. You guys are good.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Gruber Wired Hour. My name is Mark Beach.
My name is John Dotson, and welcome once again. With us, we have a very special guest today.
Yes.
Hoa Ly, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine. Thank you.
Good.
Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah.
So Lee is, you are the production manager, right?
Yes.
And so Lee manages all the people that make the great cables and assemblies that we have going out to our customers. And how long have you been with Gruber?
I have been here 30 years.
30 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
You don't need, what were you, like 5 when you started here?
No. Yeah, everybody always say that, but actually I'm very old now.
So originally you're from Vietnam?
Yes, I'm from Vietnam.
And when did you come over to the United States?
1994.
94.
July 1994.
Wow.
I came to Gruber, start to work in here October 1994.
Wow.
What a journey. Explain a little bit about that journey and how that was for you.
It's just like the new life start.
Sure.
Everything from that time very difficult.
Sure.
But we keep trying to learning, working, take experience from work, and I stuck with Gruber for many years. I don't know why.
Still here.
Yes.
That's great.
Well, today we're actually celebrating the Lunar New Year.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, what a culture. It's so diverse, so beautiful. Why don't you explain to us a little bit about that and your culture with the Lunar New Year?
Actually, today is third.
Right. It was
Yeah.
on Saturday, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Chinese New Year. We can call like Tết in Vietnam. We call Tết Vietnam. Some people they call Lunar New Year or Chinese New Year.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, that is very important to Vietnamese people.
Okay.
They have a meaning special. So every year, it start. We have a lot of preparing
Okay.
for the custom tradition New Year. Let's talk about the New Year. Vietnam is one of few countries in Asia to have us celebrate New Year in same day. I know like Chinese or North Korea, South Korea.
Is there Malaysia?
Malaysia, Singapore, Mongolia,
Okay.
and Vietnam. Yeah, we celebrate New Year same day.
Okay.
Now, you said there's a lot of preparation for that?
Yeah, and in the U.S. actually like every state they have a different celebration.
Okay.
Depend on the community. Have a lot of Vietnamese people, and they will try to keep the tradition as they can to make sure the family is still stay together to celebrate the New Year. But in my country, when I know because I wasn't there for 30 years,
Right.
but from my memories, New Year is they like the Lunar New Year. They have like 12 zodiac animals
Right.
to
Yes.
represent for each year. Example like 2023 is they call cat.
Okay.
Yes.
And this year is
This
the
year is a dragon.
Dragon.
Yeah, dragon. And because we use the Lunar New Year, so the calendar is different than our regular one.
Okay.
So this year they fall on Friday and Saturday,
Okay.
2 days ago.
Now, Year of the Dragon, what's that supposed to bring? What does the dragon represent?
All the year, I don't know about that, but I think every year the zodiac animal, it just they represent for. I don't know how to
Yeah,
explain
yeah.
that.
Well, my understanding is that the Year of the Dragon, it represents prosperity.
Mm.
You know, brings in goodwill.
Yeah, every year it's always the people always wishing for luck,
Sure.
happy, and wishing like we have enough for the new year. You know.
Right, right.
No, I was doing some reading, and isn't there some also superstition that comes along with it? For instance, in prepping for this, you shouldn't sweep your floors because you might be sweeping out the good luck that comes along with this.
Yeah, that's the first day. They say we shouldn't sweep the floor until the second day. You can do whatever you want,
Yeah.
but the first day shouldn't do that.
And what about other traditions and similar faith along the
Yeah,
way?
they have a lot of things to prepare. Start from actually 23rd of
Okay.
Of December.
December. Yeah, a lot of. Yeah, I have to make a list because like too many.
Yeah. Right,
And they do it
right.
here too. They do for our New Year's in the U.S. They say don't do your laundry.
Yeah.
Anybody heard that one?
I have not heard that one.
Yeah, say if you're washing away like a loved one or something will happen. Something bad will happen throughout the year if you do your laundry on the first.
Huh. Our little tradition was we, at the stroke of midnight, had to stand on our right foot, so the left one's up in the air, and also have money on you. So you're starting the year off on the right foot with money in hand.
Interesting.
Is that a dad joke?
No, we did that.
Okay. Okay. I mean, I just didn't know. It was like, I'm kind of looking at you side-eyed there with that.
No dad joke
Because I
there.
know you. Yeah. No. I just wondered if he was, stringing us along and see how much we would buy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for preparing the new year.
Yeah.
They very busy from 23rd of the month, like I told you.
Yeah.
The food is transferred from all over the farm country, bring to the city,
Right.
or the place to serve for the whole holidays and the break holiday.
Right.
Flour, they very special flour.
Right.
They already plan from few months, even ahead of time,
Yeah.
waiting for that moment to bring in to the city to put on the sale and even decorate on the festival and everywhere in the place. And then people start to buy the flower and bring to home and decorate for their house.
Sure.
It's something like Christmas here, like
Sure,
you know,
right.
try to do all the light and do everything. But in Vietnam, we have a differently with the flower, bring the lucky and just make them look nice. Also, they have like they buy the fruit, a
Okay.
special to put on 5 custom fruit.
Right.
Present for
Ancestors.
for the new year, wishing for everybody have enough for the whole years.
Okay.
So yeah,
Nice.
nice. Now, the flower arrangements you're talking about, is there a specific flower that you like?
Yeah, I love it. They all pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you went to the market and see which one is beauty and you bring to home. That's how I do it. I don't have a special one.
You don't have a favorite flower there,
Yeah,
huh?
no, I don't. Yeah, the company is the company, government, factory. Usually they have a custom every year. That's a party. It's like
Okay.
us, like Christmas.
Right.
But the party, they talking about everything from the old years. We should to forgive the bad and try to make the new number, new record for the future. And they celebrate together with their employees and give them break. And also they send the reward for the bonus for employee too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice tradition. Now,
Yes.
you said there's a moment there where you forgive the past, correct?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
wow, that's just one of those lessons to learn, to be able to forgive the past, to move forward, to look to prosperity coming up in the
Yeah.
next year.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, Jesse, can you pull up the photo of the whole team for us? So anyway, Holly has inspired our production staff since she's got here. This comes from Pete Gruber. Her and her team are a large part of our success in the data cabling division. And really, this is your entire team that celebrates this moment, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Today they already start this morning. They wear all the long dress.
Yeah. They look great.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to see those inspired dresses and the dress.
There we go.
This
Yeah.
was from last year. that we are, and they all have their picture taken up front.
Yeah, and they get it done. I mean, we couldn't do, we wouldn't have what we have without them.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they get it done. No matter what the special requirement or just regular stuff, they figure it out and get it done.
Yeah, and they're just so deeply enriched with culture.
Yes.
Yeah, like in addition, more very important things like they went to
Yeah.
So, but yeah, anyway, there's lots of traditions that are involved with this Lunar New Year.
Right.
One of them is giving an envelope of a gift. And Lee,
Yeah.
this on behalf of Gruber Industries and all of Gruber companies, this is for you.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're welcome. We appreciate everything that you do.
Yeah, this also the custom in my country.
Yes.
Every year after the moment of the transfer from New Year Eve to New Year, we sit all together on midnight. The family, the older people like grandparents, parents will be wishing each other with the children to wish the whole year will be peaceful, lucky, healthy, joy, successful for the new year. Everything the good thing they try to wish together, and then finally, the old people will be give the young one the red envelope like this, with actually like money inside.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, the kids always open and look, see how much inside.
Have you looked?
Oh, I'm fine. Thank you.
Yeah, what impresses me about this is how family-centric this particular time is and how important the generational emphasis is. I think in American culture, we kind of lose that a lot. And I think it's something to be envied, that there's such a respect and an involvement of multi-generations in this celebration.
Yeah, very special after the New Year. Usually, like after midnight, a lot of things, activity after that. Like a group of the people, they went to the temple to get, they call like lucky, to get the luck from the temple and bring to home. And some people, they hang around together with the gamble, have fun together, lottery, battery. And then some people, they go to sleep for tomorrow. That's the first day to start.
Right.
And most of them, like a lot of things they will do for the first day. They go to visit together, family, relationship, friend, to wishing and good luck for the new year. And some people, they go to temple to get luck. Like the people they couldn't go last night, they will go in the morning, and the whole days they're busy with the things on the first day.
Yeah.
And they continue with the day later, because the celebrate used to they repair on 23rd, but actually government, school, factory, everything, they will stop working like 3 days before New Year.
Okay.
And then they let the people stay at home for the other weeks. School usually stay longer.
Okay.
But like we go to work, it's depend on where do you work. It's just personal business or government. The day off will be different. But the most of time for the people to do business or marketing outside business, they always choose the best day to go to start. Yeah, they choose like, they check the lunar calendar to see what the day for you good to start.
So that
For
day,
business.
that day will be different for each business, or is it just everybody all at once?
Then they depend on everybody different. Yeah, but they choose the day. Which day is the good to
So
start.
once they break, then each individual business or whatever decides when they're going to resume based on what they see.
Yeah. But if you work for government or school, they don't choose the limit of that. They just like, okay, we take a 1 week off, and then all the students will be back to work on Monday, something
Gotcha.
like that.
Yeah. No Snow up there is asking if we had some more pictures. We have a couple more. Jesse, can you pull up one of just the ladies? I think it's Luna 2.
Yeah, one sec.
Yeah, we have some more pictures, a couple more pictures we can show you here. But yeah, your staff. How does your staff enjoy this time? What might they be doing different?
There we go.
Yeah, look, here we go. The ladies. Look at them all.
Yes, they love this. The long rest custom in my country for Vietnamese, represent for Vietnamese lady. Yeah, they design all different type.
Did they design it themselves?
No, actually the market.
The market.
Yeah, they
there's
can
a lot.
order online, or they go back to Vietnam and bring back from Vietnam to here.
Yeah. And then we have one of the men as well.
Yes.
There we go. Got Greg and Mark in that one too.
There you go. Yeah, he's looking pretty sharp today.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I saw that. And I'm like, very impressive.
Now, I know in some cultures, men and women look at things differently. Is there a different reflective point between the Vietnamese women and Vietnamese men?
What do you mean?
Do they look at things a little bit differently
On the
in regards to the tradition?
on
For
the,
New Year?
Yeah, for New Year.
No,
No?
I think so.
Great. Yeah. So, I mean, it's fascinating to see. And I was reading too, that sometimes the Vietnamese New Year, because it's not the same as Chinese New Year, it falls on a different day sometimes.
Yeah.
Like there's because of the cycles, it's called a Sol Lunar New Year, that there are occasions where it can fall a month different than the Chinese New Year.
No.
No?
Yeah.
Like I say from beginning.
Yeah.
We celebrate same day.
Same day, so
Yeah.
it doesn't. Okay.
Only the difference between Lunar New Year
Mm-hmm.
and regular calendar New Year.
Okay.
Depend on, because like I know every cycle is about 12 months, right?
Right.
Mhm.
But after every 4 years, the cycle, the year number 4, we will have like 13 months.
Okay.
I don't know why they do that, but example, like after every 4 year, last year you have double month of
Okay.
July or August or September. The way they have to do that to make the new year will be
The
in
calendar
the
lines up.
same calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kind of the reason we have a leap year.
yeah. So some year, the new year fall on January, and then they keep move up. Next year will be beginning February, and middle February, and then a little bit late February, and then the last month,
Yeah.
last year of the 4, they will go back to January again.
Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's 13 cycles of the moon in a 12-month cycle, right? Typically.
Yeah, so that would make sense.
Right. Because, when they say once, well, I think it's actually less than that, but, when they say once in every blue moon,
Yeah.
that means that it's a month with 2 full moons. So there's certain in the
Astrological world.
astronomical, yeah. That's the way it works. So when you go once in every blue moon, I don't know how often that is, but that's when there's 2 full moons in a month.
Yeah. Now, the Lunar New Year, is this kind of a combination altogether? Like, for instance, in our culture, we have Christmas, then we have a New Year. So is that same in your culture as well, or is it just kind of all tied in, wrapped into one Lunar New Year?
No. Lunar New Year is just a Lunar New Year for very tradition custom in my country.
Yeah.
They also celebrate Christmas on
Okay.
a Christmas day because religion always have everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Buddha, Christian, Baptist.
Right.
Yeah, so whoever enjoy special day of Christmas, they will celebrate together. And anyhow, the people now they usually they have fun together. You know, they choose Christmas day is a day for party, for go to the church and
Yeah.
have fun together.
Nice.
Here we go. Good.
Well, Lee, we want to say thank you for joining us today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.
And
Thank you very
You
much.
did great.
Yeah.
You did great. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to
Yes.
us.
Yes.
Yes, it's going to be a great year. I
Yeah.
see great things coming for you and your staff.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you,
Thank
Lee.
you.
Hey, John, make sure to mute that mic, please.
Yeah, we got it. There we go. Do you want to pull up the X1 picture for us?
Thanks, Lee.
Thank you again, Lee. You and your staff. Thank
Okay,
everyone.
thank you very much.
Pete says Holly belongs in sales. She tells it like it is.
Doesn't she?
Okay, bye.
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 Thanks, Lee.
Wow, that was great.
I agree.
Very great way to start the show today.
And that just gives you a flavor for, look, 30 years. Come on, people. I mean, that's just a rarity in any business.
It is. If that longevity, wow, there's just, like Pete had mentioned in a comment there, we do see some turnover and people do come back. And then we see the retention here at Gruber, and it is amazing how long people come and stay here with us.
It's amazing.
Amazing.
Team amazing.
That's us.
We got 2 squares in the pool this
That we did.
yep.
That we did. So we're going to get into some data myths. We talked about this a little while ago. That we're going to come up with a show and talk about, I guess you'd call it the X-Files of data communications.
Yes, and you came up with this list, so I'm going to follow
We're
your
just
lead
gonna
on
go
it. I'm
along
going
with
to
it.
roll with you. I'm going to roll with you on this.
Okay, so one of the first misconceptions is that all the cables are the same. We
Right.
do hear this from time to time, and even from mostly people outside the industry that don't understand what we really do and what we bring to the table.
Right. They see that RJ45 connection and they just think they can go, walk into a store and just buy the patch cable and that's
Yep.
it. And
Yeah,
Not
I know.
always.
Jesse, pull up number 1 now for us. And this is where we're going to show a picture of kind of some just copper cabling and show you that there's a variety of flavors out there, I guess you'd say, that come along with it. We show the picture here. Okay, here we go. So they are not all the same. And here's just a brief picture showing the different connection types and variables that are out there.
yep. So, they are all different data requirements.
How many can you name?
Let's see. The first one is an RCA.
HDMI.
HDMI.
That one's hard to see.
I don't know what
Is
that
that
is.
that's not a lightning cable, is it?
I don't think so.
No.
The next one is
RJ45.
RJ45. Then you have an F connector. Then you have a USB and another HDMI,
USB-C.
correct?
No,
Is
the other
is that
one's
a
a
C?
USB. Yeah, USB-C,
Okay.
USB.
What's that
That
last
one's
one
a
there?
telco.
Is that a 12?
That's
RJ12?
RJ11.
RJ11?
Yep. And then a sub mini stereo.
Stereo, yeah.
Yep. And
The only other
It's
one
like a
that I know-
DB9 there.
yep.
Is that what that is? Okay.
Yeah.
And then that's a Firewire.
Firewire, and then you have the VGA, obviously.
Yep.
Yep.
And then that one looks like a USB again. And then another is
got
that
me
a
on that one.
coax? Is that a
I wanna
coax?
say it's
the
a
last
coax
one?
there at the end.
Could be.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, what we come down to is the misinformation out there is they're not all the same, and it really depends on your device, what you're connecting it to, and what the requirements are, as you had stated.
Right. And I'm sure, for the consumer end of the viewership, everybody has that box of cables at home in
Yeah.
the garage. The orphan cables that are no longer
Yeah. Right.
relevant.
And
Right.
then when you need it, you find it, and you don't plug it in. Hey, it's not working.
I told you I was saving this for a reason.
But there's also the next misconception that do-it-yourself cabling is just as effective as hiring a professional network cable installer.
Right.
And that's where we get into, you know what, let the professionals do it. They're educated. They know what they're talking about. They have the resources. And so, yeah, you can attempt to do some of this at home on your own or in your office, but there's a lot more educational background needed in some of these applications.
Right. And I mean, we're talking not just about copper, but fiber as well, that, with some of the switches out there, like, I'm going to forget it now. It's HP.
Got me.
Dang it. I almost had it on the tip of my tongue there.
Okay,
I'll remember when
back.
I'm not thinking about it. But so they have fiber uplinks. So you have to install the fiber module in there. And then you can come out fiber into another switch, or you can go from that fiber connector into like a cartridge or a cassette.
Yeah.
That then distributes to end fiber devices, right? So, there's so many different things, and there's so many nuance that because the same switch also does copper, right?
Yeah, so you end up with media converters. There's a lot going on in those scenarios.
Right. And, initially the particular customer that I'm thinking of installed their switch like a year ago, and it had the capability for the copper, for the fiber, but they hadn't leveraged that yet.
So they haven't upgraded yet.
Right. And so they were contacting us to find out how to, what needed to go in there and how would it work.
Sure.
And what were the fiber cables that they needed to do that.
Yeah. So when it really kind of boils down to is, yes, can you do some of this on your own at home? Sure, if you have the knowledge in order to do so. But gosh, a lot of this that people are trying to do in offices and work, you know what? Allow the professionals. They're knowledgeable. They have an expertise in the area, and that's your best route to go.
Well, here's the thing. It's kind of like, can you do your brakes on your car? Sure. Why would you want to? Now, the thing is, you take it to a shop, and they do brakes all the time, every day. They have all the tools, all the know-how. They know how to test it, bleed the line, everything. Same thing with network stuff, right?
Yeah.
These guys see everything, and they're exposed to it day in and day out. You're, in your internal network, you're exposed to only your environment. So you can only see from that perspective, and you'd have to learn a lot to understand what your range of options are going forward. So that's why a professional is so important.
Yeah. So next little myth we're going to get to, or misconception, is Wi-Fi networks have been rendered traditional cables over obsolete now. That's just not the case.
No.
We're still going to have to be wired in, people.
Yeah. No, there's, Wi-Fi is great. Cell service is bandwidth is increasing. Data throughput rates are increasing. There's always going to be greater capacity, right?
Yeah.
But over fiber, over copper, hardwired is always going to be the fastest.
Yeah, and it's going to be the safest too, right?
Right.
I mean, let's get down to it. We're talking security in a lot of areas, and a lot of places going on.
Right, 100%. There's nowhere to intercept.
No.
Right. Especially if you're going out to the internet, you're using VPNs too. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Another myth that's out there that's, hey, you know what? More is always better. So longer the cable, the better the cable is, right? And that's just not true.
No,
Not by any means.
Right. And when you look at cable ratings, you're talking about attenuation or signal loss over distance, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So in order to have a Cat 6 rating, it has to have a certain loss rate over a certain distance, and what it's rated for makes or breaks it, right?
That's correct. And you're going to find all this information or where you're running it to spec'd into the, what am I looking for? The devices that you're using.
Right.
So they'll let you know, what you need when you do your homework in regards to the length and so forth.
Right. Exactly.
Well, the other one is pull up number 2 now, Jesse. Picture number 2. This gets in a little bit more interesting area that a lot of people, I guess, are just uneducated in, and that is cheaper cable performance are better. less expensive, the better the cable and so forth. And that's just not the case either. Quality just really matters.
Right.
And what you have here on the screen, this shows the TAA compliant countries from around the world.
Right.
And for those of you who don't know what that is, the TAA is a Federal Trade Agreement Act.
Right.
So that we get the same consistency of amongst materials, from around the world.
Right. Right. Yeah. And, I mean, I understand people being cost sensitive, but, there's an opportunity cost as well, and replacement of,
Sure.
right. And performance issues.
Yeah. I mean, if you have a cable that goes down in a situation, you need that repaired right away or implement a new cable. You just don't have the time to wait for inexpensive cables. I'm sorry, but quality does matter.
Right.
It makes
And
a big difference.
let's just say this. It's, it's probably the least expensive component in the entire network,
Yes.
right? So skimping there is kind of foolish. It's kind of like putting, what am I trying to say? It's like putting street tires on a race car, right?
Yeah.
you're
You're going to burn through them really fast.
Right.
Yeah.
You can get stuff cheaper, but it's not really performance, right?
Yeah. Well, anyway, we started this regulation back out in 1979, somewhere in that area, 74 maybe.
Okay.
And you can see all these countries that are involved in this. We all communicate with each other, and they all hold the standard to a certain level.
Right. And so, all of our source materials, are we can source, let's just put it that way. We can source and meet that requirement. We can also meet the BAA requirement, which is, Buy American Act. So all of our Gruber manufactured products comply with TAA and BAA, right?
That we do. Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. Next myth, if we can go to photo number 3. Cables and internet speeds. The type of cable used does not affect internet speed. Is that true, Mark?
Oh, that is not true. And
No?
I mean, it's just simple mathematics, right? I mean, the rating of the copper and the size of the conduit, that's like saying any size pipe can deliver the same amount of water, right? Yeah. Just
Big difference between a 2-inch pipe and a 4-inch.
right.
And the same
Double.
thing with cabling,
Right. Exactly. And the cables are rated for certain speeds. And just like fiber is rated for certain speeds. So you
have to know your network. You
Right.
have to know what you're working with and implement the right tools that are designed for the network that you're looking to, create.
exactly.
So education, again, is important here to understand what is needed for your application.
Correct.
So let's see your number 4. Go ahead and go to number 4. The misconception here, cabling is only about wires. Is that true?
No, that's not true. There's shielding, of course, insulation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's showing here.
Right.
This is where we get into. It's not just about the wires. There are various types of shielding, like he was explaining to, twisted pairs. All these things go, to help alleviate crosstalk. That's what I'm looking for as I'm talking over myself.
Right. And there's stranded and solid. So, obviously solid is for kind of a fixed application where it's not going to be moved. And, you wouldn't want to put a solid cable on a robotic arm, right? Because it's going to be going all, so that's stranded stuff, right? So how it's built, it matters.
Exactly. So let's start off here with UTP. That is unshielded twisted pair.
Right.
So as you can see there in the picture, basically they come out, they are twisted pair copper cables, and there's no shielding on this particular cable. The next one we have FTP, foil twisted pair. Now you see here as it has a foil wrap that comes out from underneath the inside of the jacket,
right,
and wraps around the
all
twisted
of the wires,
pairs, all the
right,
wires
together, right?
Correct. And then we have STP, shielded twisted pair. So what you see here is you see that each twisted pair is individually wrapped,
right,
with that foil. And again, this is all to help alleviate crosstalk.
Right.
Crosstalk is when we get, what would you say, interference within the signals of the cabling itself.
Right.
A lot of that has to do with magnetics, correct?
Right. Well, frequency. So,
Yeah.
if there's RF interference or whatever, then because a wire can vibrate out frequency, then it can jump, medium. Yeah.
Yeah, and we see that, and especially with a lot of people. You ever seen those shows, or even my family does this, where you put the tinfoil hats on?
Yeah.
Yeah, keeps the frequencies out, so they can't get to you.
There you go. And the last one is a kind of an all of the above, right?
Yeah.
It's got individually wrapped, and then they're all wrapped after the individually pairs are wrapped.
Yep, and again, prevents crosstalk. So here you have an example of 4 different types of cabling that you range from your standard cabling up through, specifically shielded cabling. And those are all going to meet different needs depending on the application.
Right. And, you need an evaluation of your environment to best determine what the correct solution is.
Yep, perfect, correct. All right, number 5, Jesse, this is going to be luxury perception. So fiber optic cables are seen as a luxury, and people believe they are not too expensive. Well, they're not that expensive.
They are too expensive.
They're too expensive,
Yeah.
but people believe, correct?
Right, right.
As you can see here, a luxury.
Right. Well, fiber is where it's at. I mean, things are going that direction, and there are advantages to fiber as opposed to copper, right? It works well over distance.
By far.
Yep, because it's light, it's faster.
Well, I think the misperception in this comes from the fact that, no matter how you put it, anything new is up there expensive on the chart. I mean, it starts out up here.
Right.
But as time goes by and we implement this and we figure out how to work with it and make it better and so forth, we start to see the costs come down as the needs go up.
Right.
So we're at that point now, I think, with the shift of fiber versus cost versus needs for it. And we're starting to see that cost become more equivalent to copper cabling.
Right. And there are more devices that incorporate that technology, right?
Yeah.
For efficiency, speed. And, when I moved into my house, and Cox came out to do the install, or I was talking with them on the phone, they go, "Do you want fiber?" I'm like, "Yes."
Of course.
Please, can I? And I mean, I just, the speed is off the charts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something. Okay, you can remove the picture of my toys there. And number 6, we're going up for next. This is going to be about durability. The myth here is there's a misconception that fiber optic cables are not very durable due to the fact that they're glass strands.
Well, like anything, if you treat it right, it's going to treat you right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything has its
breaking point. Yeah.
Right. I mean, one thing to think about fiber too, is the fact that it's more environmental tolerant, meaning, copper has to, if it's exposed to fluid that can create, if you've ever done telco, you've heard of wet circuits, right?
Yeah.
And a wet circuit is simply a phone circuit that got wet, right? But there's a very definite problem in phone switches or in phone demarcs with that kind of stuff. Fiber doesn't have that issue because it's not conductive.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's different applications again, but the durability is all in the application.
It is, and we're seeing that push there down. We have bend insensitive fibers, where you can bend them almost, a nice 90 degrees or more,
right,
and still not break that glass. It's very durable, as durable as duct tape like we have up here.
So you put duct tape for
I
durable?
did, because it's very durable. In World War II, they used duct tape to tape the wings of planes that were coming back that were shot up full of holes,
sure,
just to make them flyable, and they flew just fine.
Yeah, and the other thing is that fiber is buffered,
yeah,
right, which means that's the size of the jacket around the fiber. And so there's different buffering for different applications.
Correct.
Right.
And you bring up the jacket, and there's different jackets for different applications as well. So when you get into a scenario, into like a more harsh environment scenario, you change that jacket to fit the scenario that you have.
Right. 100%.
Yeah. So let's see here. Reliability. Some believe that fiber optic networks have lower reliability compared to other technologies.
Who said that?
I don't know. It wasn't I. But that's a myth that's out there.
Sure.
These are, if not more reliable, I think, than other technologies that are out there.
Again, there's less of a, I mean, it works over distance. So there's not the same type of loss problem under, of course, everything has limitations, but I was, for one client, I was looking at the component, what are those called? The where the fiber plugs in, but
like
it's
the
a
LC connector, or
no, it's a generator. It's a signal generator, but it generates the light that goes into the fiber, and it was rated for 40 kilometers.
Wow. Okay.
Right. Now you can't do that with copper.
No, you're not.
You're going to need to switch at every certain, at certain
you're going
intervals,
to
right?
amplify that as you go along.
Right.
Yeah.
But with this, the transmitter was rated for 40 kilometers. I'm like, holy smokes. That changes your thinking right there.
Yeah. Yeah, especially when you're trying to design a network over a large frame like that.
Right. And you think of all of the copper infrastructure that it would need to, forget about the bandwidth that you achieve with fiber, but, take the cost of doing it with copper and saying, oh, copper's cheaper. Well, in theory, but then if you look at all of the components that need to exist for those 40 kilometers to get that signal from point A to point B, is it really cheaper? No, it's not. So there are those considerations as well. More expensive in some components, fewer components means lower cost.
Lower cost.
Yep.
So let's hit number 7 there. Limited accessibility. People may think that fiber optics are only available in the major urban centers. And that's becoming kind of the wayside now. I mean, at the beginning, sure, because that's where the technology was. But as we see the growth continue outside of those centers, this stuff is exploding everywhere.
Right. And it makes sense because that is really an ultimate transmission method. Again, light. I don't think it's going to get more efficient than light.
No.
Right. So, it makes sense for companies. I know AT&T has been reinvesting in their infrastructure for several years now in converting it all over to fiber. I know Cox is doing the same thing. I know Google was wiring the valley with fiber, right? So the transition is there. And, at the end user level, I chose to have fiber. I could have had a coax internet connection, but I just wanted to be
it's there, use it.
Right.
That's
I wanted
what it's there for.
I wanted the bandwidth, right?
The next myth we're going to take a look at, fear has been around since the 1970s, widely used since the late 1980s. This is in regard to fiber optics, and it has proven its longevity. While the exact lifespan isn't known, they can last for decades, making them a reliable technology. Once you use fiber and put it into place, it can stay for quite some time, unless it's disrupted,
Right. It's like anything.
Yeah.
I mean, in a former life at a business, we had great internet connection. It was copper and everything, and reliable, high speed. We had like 3 T1s bundled into a T3, I think they called it. Right. Perfect. Until the guys trying to install some piping in the parking lot cut the cable.
Oh,
it wasn't then it wasn't perfect anymore, right?
Yeah.
So things happen, but the durability of glass, I mean,
it's there.
Yeah.
I mean, needless to say, it's there. It's where it needs to be, and they're just going to improve on that over time. So we've already raised the bar here. So
right, and I understand, hesitating on adoption of something of a new tech, but it's not new tech anymore.
No.
It's tried and tested tech.
And the next myth in regards to that too is that maintenance on these things are very challenging in regards to fiber, and that's just not true.
No.
I mean, it's the same maintenance level as you have with everything else with copper cabling and so forth. You just, again, go back to have the knowledge on understanding of how to make your repair.
Right.
And when to repair and when to replace.
Right.
That's something I think a lot of people need to take a little more time on.
Right. Exactly. It's not what we would call, so with servers they call it a forklift upgrade.
Yeah.
Which means you don't have to rip the cable out if you have a cable break or anything like that. There's splicing that can occur to keep it functioning. It's not a pull it all out and have to replace it thing. Right.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, we're going to get into a little bit of AI myths now. This picture here represents the fact that the myth here is AI will replace all human jobs, leading to mass unemployment. So if you look here, you see a bunch of AI guys there.
Have you watched iRobot yet?
No, I have not.
What is wrong with you? We've talked about this.
I know.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah. So that looks like one of the iRobot, the previous gen guys. But yeah, no.
It's going to help, not destroy.
Right. I mean, when Henry Ford created the assembly line, there was pushback. It would create unemployment and all that because, there was automation going on. People have always feared automation as a natural thing because not because of the automation, but because of change.
Yeah,
right.
You're right. They fear change.
Education is really the pill, the cure for that. Right.
Yeah.
It's once you understand application and understand human involvement in it and how, what controls are in place, I think it alleviates that.
Yeah, no, it's so true. Pull up number 9, Jesse. And then the next myth is AI could infiltrate source secure systems, control governments, and even, lead to nuclear threats. And this is a worldwide issue. And this encompasses really because this is the first thing that pops into people's heads.
Right.
With what's going on in AI development. We hear this all the time.
Right.
AI could take over the nuclear codes and so forth. And this is not going to happen. Right.
Well, I mean, it could be used as a tool to make it easier for hackers to do things that they could. AI can speed things up, but then you have AI on the other side blocking them. So I mean, it's kind of like you build a weapon and you build a defensive measure, right? I mean, it's kind of that whole thing. It's why our defense industry stays in business, right?
Yeah. Well, you're going to have the bad apples. They're there. They're out there in the world.
Right.
You're going to have the bad guys out there. They're going to, use this technology in some very negative ways.
Right.
I mean, that's to be said. But since we know that, we can use the technology as we develop it to work in positive manners and in positive ways.
Exactly. Nope,
yeah.
100%.
That's just the way it's going to have to be.
Yep.
Number 10, Jesse. There's another myth about AI. AI could spontaneously develop consciousness and rebel against humanity. What do you think?
No.
You mean they couldn't take over the world like that?
I think that you can teach things to learn.
Sure.
But, we're talking about sentience there, and a robot's not going to be sentient, right?
No,
I mean,
no.
it doesn't, it's executing code, and that's all it's ever doing. And it's learning based on how it was told to learn.
Mm-hmm.
But sentience is a different thing altogether.
It is. And one thing that I think we always forget about, because AI right now is, again, fearful in people, is the fact that it's developed by us.
Yeah.
We're the ones putting the resources into it.
Right.
So we do it.
But what about when it develops itself?
Well, that's it. That's the key. Is it going to get there or not? I mean, are we going to be able to see that?
Right. But at the base set, there's always a set of rules, right? I mean,
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. What if there isn't? Like Tesla just released their AI for their full self-driving that took 300,000 lines of code and reduced it down to just a couple of directives, and now it's allowed to make its own interpretive code in the moment based on the input. So there is no hard code. It generates its code on the fly as it needs to in a neural network.
But you're saying it's allowed to, which means somebody is allowing it to do so, and they could hit the stop button at any time, correct?
What I'm saying is what happens when we get to the point where you can't hit the stop button, where we allow it to modify its own code, and then we just don't have a stop button.
I don't think we'll ever get to that point. I don't see that. Do you?
I mean, I will say this, all right, and this is a controversial topic now, okay?
Yeah.
So
Let's go.
here we go. So when we're talking about like bioengineering and all that kind of stuff, and you think that people have morals and they don't, same thing is going to apply to AI. It's what capabilities can somebody give it? But there's always a bazooka, right? We can just blow them up or something. But you know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
you'd think that some of the stuff you hear about being created in labs, right? And you go, well, that's a really bad idea, and I don't even know anything about it, right? But they go, oh, well, we're going to study, how
Anyway.
right? How can we make flu easier to catch? Right?
So Jesse, really quick, you don't believe that they put fail safes into this technology?
No, but that's the failsafe we have now is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you have a base set of code and you allow it to modify itself. As soon as you allow it to modify itself, it can remove the safeguards. And if you believe in any rate of progress whatsoever, if you believe that we're making improvements in AI, eventually, as long as those improvements continue, at some point we will reach the point where it can fully code itself. That's just how science works. Eventually, you'll get there. I'm not saying it's going to happen today or tomorrow,
But it's inevitable that it'll reach that crossing point.
Even Commander
to.
Data had a kill switch.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yes.
Especially at a motion chipping, just
Right.
off,
That's the thing. The only real kill switch would be like a solar flare that wipes out all electronics.
An EMP.
Yeah, like an EMP
would work.
because it would be just like COVID, right? We have all this crazy advanced technology to fight viruses, but that thing spread around the world in an instant. Right?
Yeah.
And we were helpless against it. Now imagine the whole world is covered in the internet as well. So this AI that could modify itself and disguise its own code and do things that we don't know that it could do could move throughout the whole of the internet instantly.
Kind of like, remember that show, Stephen King's Lawnmower Man? That book?
I didn't. No.
That's exactly what he's talking about. Yeah.
Well,
Here's a good one from Pete.
I mean,
Hold on, Pete has a good. This is actually a good point. There's a massive lawsuit right now against OpenAI because their AI, and they had to put guardrails up against it. So again, there are guardrails now, currently, but by default, without them thinking ahead, it on its own was able to go out and crawl through all of the paywalls for all of the newspapers and rip all of their info.
I mean, so when the internet first started going and hackers were out there doing what they did, it was because it was just a failure of imagination, a failure to plan, right? You don't know how you're going to be attacked sometimes until you're attacked, and there's always a counter. It's not like, I mean, people are always going to abuse new tech, right?
Yeah.
And so there's always going to be the white hats out there that are going to counter every problem as they come up, and that's their job, is to counter that kind of stuff.
And I guess the other issue and problem you have is with everybody out there in the world jumping on the AI freight train, who designs the fail-safe? Who decides when enough is enough?
Right, and there are multiple versions of AI too. It's not there's not one version of it. So, it just depends on the limitations of the author to begin with. And even though it's creating its own code, there has to be a baseline for it to develop the code. In other words,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying. I'm not saying it has to become sentient or be alive necessarily and make its own decisions like that. It could be completely still just code based, and it determines its own directives and does whatever it needs to do to achieve those directives, and whether that's stay alive or circumvent certain protocols or whatever it is that it develops, it doesn't need sentience for that to run away on us.
No, but it's always going to be on a plane, right? There's going to be a certain bend to it. In other words, if it's scientific, if it's technical, if it's instructional related to machinery, there's going to be areas of focus that this code is going to go through, and it's going to have to be directed to that. It's not going to automatically just spread like kudzu, like the vine that ate the South, right? It's not going to go into every area, I don't think. I mean, it has to be focused in a certain way, right? In order to...
Well, that's the thing. It could, if it were developing its own code, it could replicate itself. So it could have one initial purpose, which is to become as expansive as possible. And then all of a sudden, it replicates different versions of itself into all different areas of industry, all different areas of the internet, all different types of servers and databases and all that kind of stuff.
So are we talking then about unconscious technology versus a conscious technology? I mean, where's the dividing point where we get to the point in time where we say, wow, this thing has a consciousness?
No, yeah, it's not. It's never going to be sentient, and we tend to anthropomorphize, things and give it human attributes just because it mimics human behavior. But
it can never get to that point.
It doesn't have a soul. It doesn't have a soul.
Pete just said the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, hey,
word for word.
Yeah. You have to ask that question, though. It has to come up.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm a doomsayer. You guys should.
We know this.
You should turn into the AI one. Pete's the one that has all the bright future euphoria
Pull up picture 13.
Utopia.
Yeah.
Speaking about the super intelligence and so forth coming on, and this is just a point in time where people are just, is it possible that we're going to see this? Like we were just talking about
Anthropomorphize.
I can't say that. Anthropomorphize.
Anthropomorphize. Yes.
I can't say it. Anyway, are we going to get to the point where they have this ability? I mean, we're there, I think, to an extent, but how far does it go?
Super intelligence?
Yeah. I mean, is there even a limit on the ceiling of this, or is this something that we're in uncharted territory?
Well, and this is the thing that really goes into the arena of what we don't know, and not because these sorts of things can only go in the direction of known mechanics, right?
Sure.
So quantum physics, all of the things that are going on now, where they're talking about multiple dimensions, all of the ideas, concepts behind, a 4-dimensional world, 5 dimensions, 6 dimensions, whatever, and being able to understand how all of that interplays. It can't go beyond human knowledge. Could you say we want to solve these unsolvable theorems or maxims, right? Sure, you can try, but it's gathering. So as Pete knows, when it's answering a question, when you're asking, Chat GPT, it's going into all human knowledge.
Correct.
It's not creating its own knowledge.
But it's the only knowledge that's been put in there by humans.
Right.
So,
that's what I mean. It still is confined to where humans have been, not like theorizing where things might be.
Yeah.
So there's something here. I don't know if you guys will be able to completely see it, but even though AI is only fed in general knowledge, so there's multiple instances where it is creating new knowledge, and it's solving high-level mathematical theorems that have been around for over 100 years that nobody can figure out. One of them is the CAPSET problem, which is a major, major problem in mathematics that's been resolved for analyzing large sets of data. And this is it was a large language model that solved it, and it's going to fundamentally change how we understand materials science.
Right, but it's using... So I'm just going to break it down and just say that it's like it's building a house but we created the materials to build the house.
Sure.
It's just building a better house. You know what I mean? It's still operating within the it's not inventing new math. It's expanding on mathematical principles and going into areas that people have been unable to solve. But it's using...
But you can't create new math. All the math in the universe is out there. We just haven't discovered how it works yet.
Says you, right? Because you can't know that. There's no way to know that because it's unknown. You know, you cannot know that right now.
Well, no, the universe that we're in exists, so it functions how it functions. We don't know how certain parts of that are, but we're discovering that. That doesn't mean we're making new math. We're just discovering it.
That's true. We're figuring that out as we go, but at some point in time, it's all relevant to the same question, right?
Right. Well, you know, I will accept that things are to be discovered instead of invented. So everything is a revelation. I accept that. It's the ability of the mind to comprehend
Right.
expanded.
And not only that, but
reality.
AI like ChatGPT, you can upload images to it now, and it can analyze those images. So it can discern things from the image on its own using its algorithm. So things that humans will miss or information that's not input for, so say you give it footage from the JFK assassination or something. It's going to interpret that based on its code, not based on all the previous interpretations of humans. So it is still doing its own unique interpretation.
It is, and it's doing it at just lightning fast speeds. I think that's the one factor is our brains can't compute nearly as fast.
Right. Well, you know, you look at it, if we're talking about the abstract, you look at it from the standpoint of if there's an alien race that shows up on Earth, how do you communicate with it? What's the common basis? Is it math? Is it, you know, is it celestial? What is it that creates common?
I think math, is the
math is
universal
part
language,
of it.
right?
Music.
Yeah.
You know, it could be a lot.
We just don't know because it hasn't happened yet.
Right. Right.
But Pete says it's kind of like a child that eventually far passes the parents' capabilities. And that's true. I mean, we go and this is something that people don't think about. We go to education. We went to school, right? We walked into high school and so forth. And I'll tell you what, you sit down in that teacher's room and, you know, I learned the knowledge that you had, right?
Right.
So now I'm going to take knowledge you had and this other teacher had, and I'm going to surpass you with my capabilities and knowledge that you passed on to me.
Right.
And that's why education is important.
Right. Well, you know, and Pete might be right, but you know, I've told my kids before, I taught you everything you know, but I didn't teach you everything I know. Right? I mean, you know, are we going to teach AI everything? Well,
No.
Because it can go out and grab all of human knowledge allegedly, then it has that resource, but that's ever expanding.
Yeah.
And I agree. This is nothing to be afraid of. It certainly is something to monitor and to make sure the good guys are in charge of it, right?
Yeah.
Because that's how we avoid problems like COVID.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Jesse,
Yeah.
can you bring up number 14? So, yeah, this discussion is going to go on much longer than what you and I have today.
Right.
Of course, this is coming for years of how to proceed with the AI and the growth that it's going to take. It's just going to continue growing.
Right.
And it comes down to us working together.
Yeah.
You know, we got to touch each other, use our brains, work with AI, and develop this.
Integrate with the AI.
There we go.
No. 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 Come on, man.
The first successful brain chips out there.
It is. Yes.
Well, I happen to be, you know, a little more religious than some or faith-based than some. And, you know, I'm not going to implant a chip in my body at all because that's the mark of the beast.
Right. Jesse,
Sorry,
can you pull up that last picture we have? No, it's not that one I was looking for.
It's the Matrix. I'll be back.
I mean, which one? I got a few of them.
There
here.
we go.
The truth is out there.
It is out there, and this is something that we'll just have to strive for.
Right. Exactly. You know, and as long as you're seeking truth and not trying to control what truth is,
Exactly.
then you know it's like we talked about with our controversial topic, you know, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
All I care about is the truth of it, not, you know, we don't want to control things. We want to make sure that the truth is not biased, right? That has no weight one way or the other. It's fact.
And the fact is, it's out there, and we will discover it, as well as AI will too.
You know what else is out there?
What's that?
Our cables and our product, right?
That's right.
It's out there, and we want you to join us every Monday at 10 o'clock. We are going to be switching in a couple weeks.
That's
So
right.
we're going to experiment with a Thursday podcast instead. Monday morning's a little hard for people to jump on, so we're going to do a Thursday afternoon on February 29th. On
Leap Day.
Leap Day, yes.
That's right. We're going to go back through history and pull up the important facts of leap days and what's happened on those days.
Right. So mark your calendar. In 2 weeks, we're going to do a Monday and a Thursday podcast. And if there's a great response on Thursday, we're just going to keep it going.
That's right. We'll just keep going and keep moving on.
That's it.
Moving on.
Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this podcast. We appreciate you watching, whether you're watching live or on the replay. We value you. Make sure you drop comments. Look forward to responding to them. We will respond to every comment. You might not like the response, but we'll respond. No, just kidding. And, we're going to exit for now. My name is Mark Beach.
I'm John Dotson. And one last shout out to Hoa Ly and our crew, her team.
Yes.
Happy Lunar New Year.
Happy Lunar New Year. Thank you so much for joining us today.